So, to start from the beginning, I've always had a fascination regarding like Spanish and like Hispanic culture. Like, for instance, like I always grew up around that. Like, I went to school with people who were Hispanic or spoke Spanish, and like throughout middle school and high school, like I would uptake like Spanish classes other than like French classes or any other like language class. And so tracing a little bit back to middle school, like I would, in addition to homework assignment, take time out of my day to learn Spanish in the background, like excluding, like I said, like excluding my homework assignments, like I would use Duolingo, just like learn this basic Spanish, aside school. But however, around that time, like I fell short because it was hard, like staying consistent throughout the whole time because I had a lot of other things going on. Just being consistent is like pretty can be hard. So that's where I kind of dropped Spanish. Not like intentionally, but it's just like I just couldn't keep up with the everyday kind of thing. However, like a couple years later, while during my sophomore year in high school, I believe 2022, I was just like, it was like a spark just enlightened in me, like, Spanish kind of thing. Literally something in me was like, this year, I'm going to learn Spanish. Period. I'm gonna learn Spanish as a second language. Period. This year, because I don't know, like it was because like around this time I was learning like the benefits of learning a second language. Like learning a second language, it expands your interest. Like it opens you up to so much more kinds of music, shows, movies, food, okay, and people, and just like different experiences that you get to have with learning a second language kind of thing. And then also, it opens so many doors for you in terms of like job opportunities. Like, it introduces you to higher pay just for knowing a second language. And then I realized how funny it is how us Americans can easily just be so comfortable learning just one language. Other countries, whether that vary from Latin America, Europe, or Africa, just know like at the least two or more languages. Cause I think I found this guy on Morocco, like it was on me from Morocco. I cannot talk from Morocco, and this guy was just like inspirational. Like he was learning like four different languages, like or knew four different languages. He knew Arabic, I think he was learning. I forgot what Asian language it was, but it was that. He knew English and he was learning Spanish. Goodness, I wish that could be me, girl. Like, oh my god. But it just takes a lot of time, consistency, and dedication to do so. Put in that work and that energy. So that year, I just went full throttle and full immersion in learning Spanish as a second language. Like for instance, I remember playing solely what you might call it, like Spanish language media. Like I would put on TV shows in Spanish. I watch like telenovelas y sí, las dramáticas como a la Rosa de Guadalupe, como dice el dicho, creo que el cuerpo del deseo y Betty la Fea. Those were the telenovelas I've seen in that time span. And a lot of the times for these shows, they did not have English captions to save my life. They did not have English captions available. So times that I did not have any English captions available, I just watch it, just try to soak everything in, how the language sounds, the words I'm seeing, the words I'm hearing, just try to take everything in and soak it in. But of course, like write down words that I had no clue what the heck they were saying. Write those down and translate them. But for those that did have like the English captions available, I would just first like have it still in Spanish like audio, but watch it in English captions, but keep it in the Spanish audio and just learn from like what they're saying in the audio and translate it back to my head. Oh, they're saying this in English kind of thing. And then I would just alternate like here and there, like one day I may watch the same episode or something different. It'd be just all English captions, but then another day I switch it to the Spanish captions, but then have it still the Spanish audio or have the Spanish audio and then the captions at the same time. Oh, and the little memory that I have, I binge watch the OG Betty La Fea. If you know, you know. Okay, the OG Betty La Fea telenovela. The one where she's in Colombia and like all that stuff. That show had me locked in. I believe it's like 335 episodes altogether, and it had me locked in down. And mind you, like the show, that show I was watching Betty La Fea and like the platform that had it on. There was no English captions whatsoever, girl. And somehow I just watched it throughout. Okay, but of course, like I would translate things of significance here and there. But somehow I watched that show throughout with no captions, girl, because I was really invested in that show. Like I don't know, just like the charm of the show, basically, that had me locked in. And it was better than the other telenovelas I have seen. At this point, I was like, girl, I gotta watch this. Like, this show is my show, girl. And it still is. Actually, is still my favorite show. Because it's funny, like, several months ago, I just went back to rewatch the show. And I could just see how much progress I have made in understanding Spanish. And it's a really great, amazing thing once you try. Just at least try out, just try watching a Spanish show, even the news in Spanish. I mean, sometimes it can be difficult because there's other things going on. But just watch something in Spanish. It can be Spanish throughout. And just like this sense what's going on, this midst of it. I don't know how else to explain it, but just sit down, just like digest everything that is going on in the screen, and you should have captions on so you know what words they're saying. But of course, take time and write down those words of significance. Also around this time, I was diving more into various genres in Spanish music. Like when we say Spanish music, like or music in Spanish is so broad, girl. But around this time, I was getting into artists like Aventura, bachata, and like other like more Mexican music because, as I mentioned from I don't know which side it is, but as I mentioned from my first Spanish journey video, I was diving more into like Mexican music at first, and so or Mexican Spanish in general. So I was trying to get into that, and it's funny because like literally my friends and family would kind of make me like low key like make fun of me for learning Spanish. They would say things like, "Oh, here she go with the Spanish thing again," like stuff like that. But over time, they came more like I guess acceptive. What's that word? Accepting of my Spanish language journey and my love for Hispanic culture things. So they kind of like, oh, okay, that just hurt. At this point, that just hurt. So yeah, I would just get more into Spanish language music, and then I would even take videos recording myself sing along to the lyrics, girl. It's embarrassing looking back at it now, but to see my progress and see how much I have learned is great. Because like mainly I would record myself singing along to lyrics because when I sing lyrics back to myself, like it causes me to learn the material better because if it's like a song that I like, I would sing it over and over and over again, intentionally like learn the lyrics of the song as well. And then also listening how the song is and matching up to my voice, like I would hear the pronunciations of it. Yeah, I mean, I would just learn from music that way. And also, I will also record myself, but as like a video voice kind of thing sometimes, I guess. I'm trying to think about the time, but mainly I would record myself like doing or saying different prompts of I don't know whatever like was on my mind. Like it's basically like a diary. Or other times I would just like journal down what I'm feeling, but in Spanish, and like translate as necessary what I'm trying to like communicate and just like write it down that way. Because that way it kind of helped me to one work on my speaking skills and to like try to approach Spanish in a way that is conversational, that's used in like how you would use in English, like in the everyday basis kind of way of talking, if that makes sense. Then to further improve my speaking skills, I would essentially Even although I was like very, very shy at first, I would go to Spanish speaking or Hispanic the restaurants or places. I mean, when I was first approaching them, I would just speak English because at the time I was kind of scared, and I felt like I did not know enough Spanish to get through, but now I do know enough to get through. But yeah, I would just go to those places. I mean, of course, towards the end, and just attempt speaking Spanish. Just try to speak Spanish, try to order my food in Spanish, kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, it was a fearful thing, but once you do it, like, there's not really much judgment. I mean, you may get judgment depending on the people you're around, but overall, there's little to no judgment. So there's no reason why you should be scared or have major anxiety regarding this because you're learning, you will get better eventually. So just whatever. And then also I would use like italki. Italki is like basically a language learning service where there's like various teachers from different countries and even different languages. Oh my gosh, I'm about to start my italki lesson. Pray for me. And like you would just go on like a virtual like kind of call with them, or it would be like scheduled depending on what date you choose out, all that jazz. And so I did those lessons, but to admit, I was kind of like on and off with them. Like for instance, like 1 month, say it's October, girl, like I'd be doing italki, and then fast forward like February, I'd be doing my second italki lesson. Like I was like really wishy washy with it, but it is a really, really good service, and you guys should look into it. Yeah, because I mean, their services are really pricey, but then these other ones are really, really affordable and doable. So that's what I used, and it really helped. Like if I'm trying to reach like Spanish from a particular dialect, I had various teachers from that specific country, and then like other times where I just didn't have italki or I was trying to stretch on my money a little bit, I would just simply talk to myself. Period. Like talk to myself in Spanish. Even try to think in Spanish because the area that I'm at, like, just little to no Hispanic people here. Um, it's like a yeehaw town. A yeehaw. No, like for real, it's like barely any Hispanic people here. Love them Black people, but let's not get into it. But in general, it's not like so much easy access to Hispanic places or like that. So it'd be like more of a hassle to drive up to Hispanic places. I'm kind of like at least the area I'm in is secluded ish. But as of recently I have gone into like language learning. Well it's language partner apps kind of thing. Or applications like Tandem or Hello Talk, but I use Tandem the most. But I mean, the thing with Tandem, it's good like looking for people, like especially from a specific country that you're trying to learn from. Girl, like I feel like the format is not the best, so it's best to kind of scoop up people that you feel comfortable. Like, okay, I'm back. So my camera just cut out and only got 8 minutes to spare. But however, like I was saying, like Tandem is good. It just can be the program can be kind of iffy. But besides that, like I throughout my language journey definitely has a lot of slip ups. Throughout my first year, I was very much consistent. However, like my second year, my third year, I think I'm going on 4 now. Like I was kind of wishy-washy. I wasn't really consistent all the way because I would at least keep a goal to myself to at least have 30 minutes dedicating towards like learning Spanish, whether that be like sitting down, like learning grammar, all that stuff, or just like simply like watching a show in Spanish. So yeah, I wasn't really consistent in that. Like I had periods of like or spurts. I would because I love learning Spanish too. Like I don't know. It's mainly a mental thing. Like kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can reach this under a certain amount of time. But don't think in that aspect because like learning a language in general, take your time. Don't put so much pressure on yourself of like, oh, I should be here by now. Just take your time, have fun learning the language kind of thing, and don't be so hard on myself or yourself. Period. Then also throughout this journey, I had like a change in dialects because like at first I was trying to learn Mexican Spanish, but then I learned more about other Spanish language cultures or countries. Hola, bienvenidos. So, in this video, I just want to talk quickly about, having doubts or, I don't know, like mainly indecisiveness when learning another language and what dialect you want to adopt. Because initially for me, I wanted to adopt like a Mexican dialect since, Mexico is like close proximity to the US. So that's the main reason why I wanted to, learn Mexican Spanish first. Because like I just wanted to learn like a neutral kind of Spanish so I'll be able to speak like with multiple people. So I'll be able to speak with multiple people. But then I started to learn about so many other, Latin American cultures. I don't know, because I having like thoughts that I should, I don't know, like change my main focus of a dialect. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I love like Mexican stuff, like I love Mexican music, all that stuff. At first, like I gravitated like in the general sense of like Caribbean Spanish, but then I kind of like was taken aback a little bit or stepped back simply because of Caribbean Spanish can be quite difficult for people learning Spanish as a second language, as it can be confusing at times. People tend to cut a lot of words or especially speak really fast or use a lot of slang kind of thing. So I was like kind of like taking like two steps back from it, but I was still interested in learning Caribbean Spanish. Like I learned some about Puerto Rican culture, Puerto Rican Spanish, and I love Puerto Rican culture in Spanish. Then I felt like I resonate more with Dominican Spanish. Like naturally when I speak Spanish, like I feel like I don't have to really tweak too much or change too much. I don't know how to explain it, but about myself when I naturally speak Spanish. And then also it was like the sense of availability because there were more like resources to use to learn Dominican Spanish, while with Puerto Rican Spanish it was harder to find good resources like shows. I just like things that you would hear on a regular basis to kind of like get used to the tonations of the language of how they speak. And it was kind of difficult because even like with Puerto Rican media, like I don't know what it is. Like, if someone in the comments please suggest me to like any good Puerto Rican like movies and TV shows other than like comedy shows though, but just good like Puerto Rican shows or series specifically or movies that are from Puerto Rico, like from the island. Because I found that it was like so hard to find, but it was so easy to find so much Dominican stuff, and like I felt like I couldn't really grasp Puerto Rican Spanish as much unless like I knew someone who was Puerto Rican, friends with them, and they can just help me out with their like with my Spanish that way. But however, like I ended up like sticking with Dominican Spanish because like I said, like I feel like there's a lot more resources to pick from, and then I feel like I resonate more with it when speaking it. And so where I am now, like I admit like I did have a little slip up again, but I'm trying to get back into Spanish and be way more consistent, like attending at least 30 minutes to learning Spanish. But I found that putting in an hour of Spanish is more beneficial for me. But if I'm really busy, putting at least 30 minutes a day, and don't be discouraged rather of like my progress, because I will get there, like speaking Spanish fluently, because I am getting up there, because I see my improvement over the years and it's very much possible. So I'll just pretty much like encourage myself that I will get there, and of course put in that work. So that is my Spanish language learning journey so far, and yet it just been like such a rewarding journey, to say the least. It kind of opened me up to like different kinds of music and how to approach different cultures, and some like the similarities compared to Black culture, specifically with Dominican Spanish, but also it can apply for Puerto Rican Spanish. But just like seeing some similarities and like connecting them, and It's a really cool thing, and this opens you up to so much like new experiences and perspectives and opportunities. But I encourage y'all to take time. Like, if you have the desire to learn a specific language, do it now.